It really began with a single conversation between a woman named Pat and her pastor. Pat had encountered a gentleman in Forest Park who was homeless. She felt compelled to help him, but there was no place local where she could refer him for shelter or for a meal. Their story could have ended right there, but it was really only the beginning. After their conversation, the pastor decided to reach out to other area pastors and lay leaders of different faiths. He posed the question, what can we offer to help those in the community that are homeless? Their needs were many, but the most obvious and pressing were meeting people's basic needs of food and shelter. It was decided that the best way to address the need was to adopt the PADS model, a shelter model found throughout the suburbs of Chicago that calls upon area congregations to serve as a temporary shelter. The ad hoc committee that had been formed adopted the PADS name, and Tri-Village PADS was formed. The shelter opened on October 2nd, 1992, and by April of 1993, there were 7 congregations hosting the shelter on a rotating basis, with 250 trained volunteers. There were 120 people served that first shelter season. 25 years later, more than 45 congregations each year provide support through volunteer teams, meal groups, financial contributions, and serve as a shelter site. 1,100 volunteers purchase, prepare, and serve over 38,000 meals each year and contribute over 22,000 hours of their time staffing the shelter, coordinating volunteers, staffing our medical and legal clinics, and delivering shelter laundry. What began with one encounter has evolved into Housing Forward, an agency that has served more than 16,000 people through its many programs.
Although we have a long history of providing emergency shelter, we know the way to end homelessness is not by making life on the streets marginally better. The solution to homelessness is housing. In 2015, our name was changed to Housing Forward to better represent our impact to the community and the belief that the only way to solve homelessness is by working together, leveraging our resources, and providing permanent supportive housing to break the cycle for individuals and families at risk.
I felt helpless when I was homeless. I had medical issues that caused my financial crisis and led to my homelessness. I slept in parks under a tent in the warmer months and later in a friend's storage shed during the winter months. At my lowest point, I spent the weekend sleeping in a graveyard. I had lost all confidence in my ability to provide for my family. Eventually, I brought her to the shelter with me. I was assigned a caseworker at Housing Forward, and they helped me get information to my doctor, access medical assistance, and ultimately, they helped me get housed. And now, when we pass the church where my daughter and I stayed, she points and says, "We stayed there, Dad, but we're never going back."
Permanent supportive housing is a proven solution to homelessness that keeps people off the streets for good, improves health and social outcomes, and reduces government costs. Many of those we serve are chronically homeless, and each costs the county about $10,000 conservatively each year in police, ambulance, hospital, and other emergency services.
Last year alone, more than 1,650 families were helped by Housing Forward in either our shelters, support center, or through one of our housing programs or services. Housing Forward's comprehensive, long-term community solution to homelessness moves clients into housing quickly and keeps them there. Out of those individuals served by Housing Forward last year, 902 were homeless and 764 were at risk of becoming homeless. 10% of those were children. 46% of the homeless adults had a serious disabling condition, physical or behavioral health disorder. 12% were survivors of domestic violence and 13% U.S. military veterans. Last year, Housing Forward became the largest provider of scattered site, permanent supportive housing in all of suburban Cook County, housing over 200 men, women, and children nightly.
What can you do? I invite you to get involved to solve homelessness. People in the west suburbs continue to come together as a community to help Housing Forward serve the people that need assistance. We need to expand to include creative partnerships, new initiatives, and broader support. Please consider donating your time and financial support just like those that stepped up in 1992.
We are incredibly thankful to all the congregations, community, and corporate partners who have contributed to this critical service over our 25 years. As we enter our next 25 years, Housing Forward is committed to not simply providing excellent crisis services to resolve our clients' immediate needs, but also working with other stakeholders to find innovative, structural solutions to fulfill our vision to end the crisis of homelessness in our community. Thank you all for your support.